Guys, welcome back to the Improvement Season podcast. It is me, Steve Hall. On the other end is Magic Mike with the fresh trim, the front bicep, because the shoulder is 100% amazing.
Nearly. Not quite.
We've got some shoulder vascularity as well. I saw that as you leant back a little bit. I saw that on the right side. Hey,
there you go.
Too lean.
That's it. I wish. Although I'm not as lean as you still, though. So, yeah.
I'm still Yeah, I mean, I did get very shredded last year, so that made it a little bit easier.
I saw hamstrings are still split because you did a rear double bicep in your story.
Yeah, man. What it reminds me of, a few things. One is when you get more muscle, you hold body fat better because you just have more lumps and bumps underneath. Two is some people hold body fat better than others. And I definitely put it on, I would say, favorable areas on my physique to some extent. It seems to go onto like my lower back, and it just makes my back kind of look thicker as opposed to fatter.
Yeah.
And then to get to like elite levels of condition, people underestimate they think I'm like, I don't know, someone might look at me and be like, oh, you could step on stage. But like, no. When you get under those lighting and like my hamstrings look split, but there's split hamstrings and then there's like split hamstrings. The conditioning standards are just wild. So anyway, that's my little ramble. But no, good. I thought the rear double.
Yeah. Like now that you said kind of about, body fat distribution and kind of where you hold it, I was going to say it looks thick, but genuinely, I think chest is looking definitely thicker. Like you were doing the incline dumbbell press, I think, in your post yesterday, and I was chest is looking thick. It's good. Cool. Yeah. Definitely.
It just needs to keep going that way, especially as you just. There was the UKDFBA was this weekend. Yeah. WNBF obviously was the weekend before, and just a lot of the same competitors, but also brought out from the woodwork some other very good competitors. If you saw it, Mike.
No, I didn't watch it all, but I saw snippets from different people's posts, and I always find it really interesting because you will get some people who might only exclusively compete with some federations rather than kind of doing the circuit, as it were. And yeah, it's just amazing how you think, like, I didn't even knew this person existed, kind of thing. It's like, this is it's amazing to think how many great physiques are out there, but you just don't know they exist because they only compete with certain federations, maybe.
Yeah, I think we both have always come at competing, like, I know this sounds almost bad, but I almost couldn't care less the name of the federation. I want to compete like with the federation that does the best shows for natural bodybuilding. So best drug testing, best lighting, best like stage running, best communication to athletes, like all of those things, best stage like production now, although that's become a bit new as social media's exploded, right? Yeah. But it's interesting. Some people though find they become very strongly affiliated with one. Which is interesting. I've never, it's not like a sports team, right? I'm not like, people might look at us and be like, oh, you guys are team WNBF. It's like, well, no, we've just like found that, hey, I was asked to judge and I ended up turning pro with them. I had planned to do the UKDFBA like a couple of weeks later, and I obviously then couldn't. It's just how the kind of things panned out. And similar to you, there was an opportunity to be able to help, and they're new and they are still up and coming in the UK. But anyway, that's a complete tangent. But
yeah, I was almost, not to run on it for too long, but I kind of liken it. For me, it's also a bit like protein powders. Like, I'm not overly loyal to a protein powder. Like, I'll go with a cost-effective option that tastes decent, that tastes good, and that I quite like. So I won't always say, oh, I'm always going to have this protein powder. It's like, if there's a deal on for this and it tastes good, I'm going to go with it.
Yeah, I'm so with you. You can tell we're not sponsored, Mike.
I know.
not currently, because whenever we get sponsored, then you need to use our code for this specific protein powder, because we believe with our hearts, they are the company that we support with all our morals, and they are the producing the best protein powder out there. But it's like, hey, Steve, what creatine do you recommend? Creatine monohydrate, wherever you can get it, like for a good price, pretty much. Similar with whey. So yes, there's some companies that we wouldn't feel good to support, and there are others that we would for a variety of reasons. But similarly, there's a lot of good options out there, and kind of who's got a good deal on type of thing, right? It's like who's got a good show near you that you can do. So on the note of protein powders, people might find this interesting, so I thought I'd go there, and you might too. So my one of my friends online, I can literally picture him right now in my head, but his name has literally just gone in one ear and out the other. It might come to me. But anyway, he just got sponsored by a company. I think they're called DNA something. Anyway, he had a really good deal on when he got sponsored by them for 30% off their protein powder. And I was like, hey, that's pretty good. I'm always like you looking for different protein powders, new stuff to try. So they had marshmallow, basically Rice Krispie flavor, like Squares bars flavor, or I don't know what they call it in the US, like the marshmallow crispy bars. You know what I mean, but I don't know what they call it in the US. Rice Krispie treats. That's what they call it. There you go. But you know what I mean, don't you?
Yes.
From the UK, Squares bars.
Yeah.
So that flavor. So I got recommended from him. And then what was the other flavor? Banana waffle, something like that. Banana waffle, caramel banana waffle.
Cool.
Anyway, so in the creamy, I've only had the banana waffle one. Very good. Obviously, I add banana anyway, so that worked well. And I actually I had some like cereal that I put into it, so it was nice texture as well. But anyway, so that worked really well. The other one I've only had in oats so far, my like Croats, and both of them have been a little bit disappointing. Texture's not quite how I like it compared to this cheap one that I'm using, which is like called PBN on Amazon. For those thinking about it, I don't know what that stands for, but both of them a bit not strong enough in a flavor. Like I love a strong flavor, so not as good as the Perform stuff as what I've tried, but decent regardless.
Yeah, but again, hey, if you don't try, you don't know, right?
Are you trying anything at the moment? Tried anything different?
Well, do you know what? So I don't know if we said this on the podcast, but after you mentioned about the Perform Whey, like the chocolate pistachio flavor, so I had a sachet of that, so I tried it as well in just some protein oats, and I liked it a lot. So that was a win for me, and I'm going to definitely be having that again. And it's an old flavor, but really enjoying it at the moment. Cereal milk, bulk cinnamon cereal milk, and it's just so good. So that's been in my Ninja Creamy as well, with just like banana, and then I'll add either like peanut butter without mixing it in, or just like some walnuts, and that's going down a treat at the moment.
Cereal milk is a surprisingly good flavor.
Yeah.
It's right up there for like some of my favorites, which I'm again surprised about. It's better than vanilla. This is just my joke that I love. To be honest, the casein protein powder I'm using is from PBN as well, and I'm using vanilla because that's all they've got, and it's pretty good. And vanilla goes with everything, right? So
it does. But do you know what? It made me smile because on the weekend I also had the Perform vanilla cream powder, and I was like, oh, this is really good. And I'm like, Steve would just absolutely laugh right now because it was so damn good.
I want you to like vanilla. That's your favorite.
Yeah, but hey,
it was Tom Fern. Shout out to Tom Fern. Sorry, I just wanted to. That's what I was doing on my phone. He actually just competed. Was it PCA? He's enhanced, and he was in the heavies, I think. And he did well. I think he may have won his class, but he looked great anyway. I wasn't too focused on his like placing stuff. He looked awesome, and he's just a really nice guy. He's always smiling. But if people want to try DNA, they might be called, or he's called Custom Bodies Tom on over on Instagram. If people want to try and find, the discount won't be available anymore though. 30%. It was only live for a week.
Does he live in the UK or is he US based?
The reason I know we're friends is because we both trained in Harpenden for a time.
Oh,
yeah. So we kind of grew up together, and then separated, went to university or whatever, And I bumped into him at like a Body Power, and it's like, dude, you're freaking huge. It's like, yeah, I've gone on the source. I was like, okay, thanks. That makes me feel a bit better. But
Yeah.
yeah, he's a personal trainer, does online coaching, just a really genuine, great guy. And he was also sponsored by CMP when I was sponsored at CMP as well.
Mm.
So we kind of reconnected there too. But, you just meet some people in life, you could tell they're genuinely good people. He's like, I don't know him inside out, but I could just tell he's like a great guy. So it's nice when you have people in your network like that.
Definitely. Was he at the Supernaturals this year?
I think he was, yes. I'm
I
pretty sure he was. I'm struggling to fully remember because there's just so much that went on over that weekend, but I'm pretty sure I very quickly said like hi to him.
Yeah, I'm sure I bumped and met him as well. I didn't fully talk to him because there's a Tom that I met at the Supernaturals who was sponsored by CNP, but I can't remember his second name, but I'm pretty sure it's Tom Fern, and he does look big from in it, like he looks like enhanced kind of thing big.
Did he have slick back hair, like long hair that was like in a bun?
I think so, yes. Brown hair?
Yes, yeah, you would have met him. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Tom. Yeah, really friendly, smiley guy. Yeah, anyway, I
Yeah, there you
digress.
go. Small world. Yeah, so I said hello to him as well. It's awesome.
Any news on your end, Mike? How's
Uh,
everything going?
do you know what? Not too much news to be honest. Well, I tell you what. So apart from shoulder making small but good progress every week, so just keeping the ball rolling on that front. I actually got a soft tissue massage on Monday because even though I'm doing all of the rehab, it just kind of things were just taking their time. And I just thought, hey, do you know what? I've got a couple of colleagues. Why not just give it a go, see if it helps a little bit? And I do feel that it just helped that little bit. It just gave that little extra 5% because I just felt like when I get to the top ranges, there's just a kind of pinching or a block to movement. And it just felt like it released that little bit extra. So, like, that was a really nice kind of feeling. So, hopefully, just do a little bit of that, and that will just, what's the word? Like, just supplement or, assist some of that extra rehab work that we're doing. So, that was really cool.
That's good. Yeah, massage is one of those things. I put it in the box of stuff that, as far as I'm aware, we don't have good evidence that actually does fuck all.
Yeah.
But there's a reason some of these things stick around, such as fasted cardio, as an example. Like bodybuilders do that, or there could be other things that people do and they stick around and I think for good reason. And so I'm not such a stickler to like PubMed and the research to be like, hey, there's no good evidence to suggest this does anything, so I'm just going to rule it out. It's like, if people are still getting massages, like there's something going on that maybe the evidence isn't quite picking up. And so I think you probably felt that. Whatever it is, we just don't quite know.
I totally agree. In the physio world, we call it like an adjunct to therapy, where it's just maybe complementing a little bit. And maybe, I don't know if this is a fair comparison, but you like maybe in our training, not like the super thick knee or elbow sleeves or like something that just maybe assists the movement. It doesn't lift the weight for you. It doesn't give you extra gains, but maybe it just makes the exercise a little bit more comfortable. It allows you to feel the movement pattern a little bit more. Like that's what I'd maybe sometimes liken massage to. It just maybe either helps the movement pattern a little bit so you can, again, it just makes the rehab exercise a bit more effective, or again, just from a psychological perspective, it just helps.
Yeah. I think the psychology is huge. I think a lot of supplements are like that. Like people need their pre-workout because it's like part of their routine. And when you actually boil it down to like the ingredients that are doing anything, it's like, caffeine is doing the majority of the heavy lifting here. Not sure much else is doing much else. But hey, if you felt benefit, it always makes you laugh, Mike. I don't know if you've seen this before, but people will like review pre-workouts as if they take it and then they do a workout and they try and review a pre-workout based off how that workout goes. And I'm just like, I understand like the like it seems quite rational, right? I take this and then I see how the workout goes. It's meant to help my workout. But I'm like, you can look at all those individual ingredients, see if in the research they've shown to have any ergogenic benefits and kind of make a conclusion before trying it. And you're really just getting a flavor at that point, or any like tingling from beta-alanine. But it always makes me laugh when people do that. I'm just like, probably kind of know, like,
Yeah.
if it tastes good, probably the workout's going to be good, you know?
Exactly. And imagine if you just had like a rubbish workout, then you just like, right, bin that,
In
not
that
good.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is, yeah, I don't know, not ideal. But
Any
sorry.
other news, or is that everything for you? Like the shoulder is the main thing. Training's going smoothly. Weight
Yeah,
was stable. We pushed up your food a bit, which I imagine you're not happy about.
no,
Dishappy,
I mean,
unhappy.
it's always interesting when there is a slight change. Well, you make an adjustment and it maybe does something contrary to what you might expect. So kind of we pushed food up a little bit to, just facilitate the gains as such, and weight didn't budge much at all. So it's kind of like, so and it's still the same at this present time. So who knows? Yeah, it's just interesting sometimes.
I'll say on that note, especially for guys like us who have been training like a decade and going for very slow rates of gain because we don't want to gain excessive amounts of fat, be patient.
Mm.
And especially with changes, like we made that adjustment now. Or actually, did we? Actually, I think, didn't I say we'd wait one more week before making
Yeah.
an adjustment? I'm just recalling. I know I said in my head, I was like, oh yeah, we're going to make an adjustment. I was like, actually, let's leave it one more week, see
Mm.
how it goes. If it doesn't, then we'll push it up, because you're in a well-fed position. It's not like you're extreme low levels of body fat. We're within that kind of sweet spot of body fat and your training is going well. So let's not chase up scale weight for the sake of it. But we do want to be in a net energy, positive energy balance.
Mm.
But we don't have to worry about having days or even weeks at maintenance. That's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree. I did want to share though a, a, a challenge that I kind of set myself, but I wanted you to keep me accountable for, is because I think a goal of mine is to just be a bit more flexible with my foods. I'm so stuck I'm just such a person of routine, but to a fault. And I know that it's a weakness of mine, because then when I do get outside of my routine or my comfort zone, like I'm just not good at handling that situation, just from a practical standpoint more than anything. And then that can sometimes cause unwanted stress. So I was like, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, right, Steve, keep me accountable to this. At least once a week, I want to try to eat something different. And so you gave me lots of good ideas, which was awesome. I was like, yeah, I can definitely, like, all these are great. I'll try all of these things. But I did a poor job of it this week. And I totally agreed with your assessment. You were like, Mike, I'm disappointed. I'm so disappointed. And I'm like, yeah, do you know, Steve, I'm disappointed too. So to those listening, my go-tos last weekend was to either have a pizza or to go out for a coffee and get like a pastry or a baked good. And I did none of those things because I didn't plan ahead at all really well. So, but do you know what? Something really serendipitous happened as I walked through I went to the gym today, walked through the door, and something serendipitous happened. Do you know what happened, Steve? This came through the door.
Give you a sample. Oh, did it?
And I was
Domino's.
like, this is a sign. Domino's have sent me some mail for some deals. So
They know you're thinking about it.
They know. They know. So that's going to be on the agenda this weekend.
I can completely relate to you, Mike, because I'm very much the same. And I would say if it wasn't for Charlotte, I'd be eating the same things basically day in, day out. And then when situations arose where I needed to be flexible, I wouldn't have that skill set available to me. And even, funny enough, even when we try and pull on that flexibility, like I'm still like, I just go for Domino's every time. It's my choice of takeaway because I'm like, I know what I'm getting. I know how to log it. I know it's been like working well with my kind of diet as a whole. And then I always kind of encourage her to get honest burgers because I'm just like, I know what it is. Like, it's easy, so on and so forth. But she has sometimes been like, oh, I'm going to change my decision. We're going to get pie this week. And I'm like, fucking hell, pie. okay, now I have to work this one out. But then I do, and it's fine. I'm like, wow, that's actually, it was really nice. We had pie, and I had like a steak and kidney pie with,
Nice.
what did I have on the side? It was like some roast potatoes type of thing. It was great.
Yeah.
So, and then, I don't know, she likes going out for roast dinners and stuff. So we end up doing that. And I'm like, right, okay, I'm not that fussed, but I'll work it in. It'll be nice. We'll have some
Yeah.
time together. So actually, speaking of that, went out for a roast last Sunday. We were quite far away. And this is like on the spot troubleshooting, right? So it was like 8 p.m. We were a good hour or so away from home. And I was like, I have quite a lot of calories left to get in. So I was like, right, what can I get that's calorie dense around here? And there was Uddelicious is the gelato place.
Mm.
This is the place I told you me and Charlotte went to quite in December or around that time, post show, and I got the salted vanilla with cookie dough, and I got like a serving of that there. Unreal, so good. Anyway, so I just was like, I need something calorie dense to help me hit my calories for the day, because I don't want to get home, be like, it's time for me to kind of go to bed, but I need like, I don't know, it was over 1,000 calories at the time. I was like, I just want to have my Ninja Creamy and go to bed.
Yeah.
So I got that, and then picked up, I hadn't really had much veg, so I like picked up a punnet of tomatoes from Tesco and some chicken, shared a packet of chicken with Ada because she hadn't had her dinner. I was like, she's going to be real hungry soon and get like irritable. So I gave her half the chicken, and that topped off my protein and set me up for then coming home and not needing to eat all that much. But yeah, it's things like that like life throws at you, and it sounds kind of ridiculous, but bodybuilding's meant a compliment. And the best bodybuilders know how to succeed in situations where other people, I don't know, if they're in my shoes, they're just like, oh, it's not that big a deal, I'll just undereat today. Maybe they make up for a days after. That's also a solution. I don't tend to like doing that. But yeah, anyway, that was my ramble of that ice cream, which I need. Whenever you come to London, we need to like pick off some places we want to try that I wouldn't go to with Charlotte. So maybe I'll take you to Delicious. That's one.
Yes.
And then maybe like what have I been seeing recently on my feed? It's like, I don't know, some sort of like famous smash burger or something like that. There's quite a few in London. There's tons of food in London, right?
Yeah. Oh, but I do you know what came to mind is just that ultimately it's a skill that you practice. So, practice, you know, if you've got a problem like you had, you need to adapt, you need to find a solution of some description. It's just a skill. And the more that you practice it, the more you put yourself in those situations, you get better at it over time.
Yeah.
So yeah, hence why again I want to practice this, because yeah, if you don't practice it, you're bad, and then yeah, rigidity leads to staleness and lack of progress.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we think, oh, I don't know, could be a pastry or like that ice cream, whatever it is. It's like, oh, it's so calorie dense. Like I'm just going to be starving the rest of the day if I eat that. And then you do it, and you're like, oh, wasn't actually that bad. Like, yeah, I had to make intelligent food choices the rest of the day to make sure I was satiated, but you should be, because you're having a large number of calories from a like discretionary item, basically, that's a quote unquote junk. So the rest of the day should be wholesome, minimally processed. And then you do it, and you're like, oh, I can enjoy something like this now and then, and without being in an excessive surplus or feeling like I've cheated, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think for you that'll be a great thing.
Yeah, and just a kind of final note as well is that we've also got to realize that we probably like most of the week, every day, like we're eating minimally processed foods, lots of varieties of vegetables, one meal, one day, it's not gonna ruin our health for life. And kind of what you said about being a resilient sleeper, if you're sleeping good 90% of the time, one night of poor sleep isn't gonna ruin you.
Yeah, completely. Updates on my end. Oh, I
Yeah.
do want to share some things. So personal things, personal client things. Why do I always forget where screen share is? Here we go. So, because last week we obviously reviewed the WNBF.
That's right.
But that meant I couldn't review client results. So I'll do that this time around. So I just want to give a quick shout out to my man Rylan here, this was his debut show. And it was early too. So he did the INBA International Zeus Classic. Unfortunately, as you can see, there was only 2 of them on stage. And I think from what I gather from that image, at least, Rylan had him convincingly beat. But obviously it's not really about always about placings right. It's the look, and this side chest is just gnarly, like full as a house, great condition, especially because this was an early show for us. And he actually executed the pose really nicely. And he has a discrepancy people might pick up between his left and right thighs because he has an injury on the right side. So he posed where he's done a really good job of like posing around it, bringing this leg forward. But like, yeah, Sartorius, as we spoke about, I think last week or recently, like fully through. Again, like I was really, really pleased with his approach there. He learned a ton because it was his first show too. And then the other one was this past weekend. Ryan, after winning his OCB Pro card a couple of weeks ago, went and did the ICN show, which was a big show for him. He won the over 30s, which is interesting to have an over 30s. It makes me feel really old to have an over 30s category. And then I don't know if they call that Masters or what they call that. And he also took the open category for his, I think they may have done it in height. It must have been close in the overall between him and the guy that took it. The guy that took it was just like, he had glaze on, which I think helped. And he was very, very sharp and maybe just beat out Ryan in a couple shots, maybe through arms and things like this. But very pleased with the look. One thing in particular was the left to right comparison here. Like this was pro debut show day, and this was this past weekend. And just you could see the difference in the lighting. The actual lighting, I think he took his setup, so it is basically the same lighting. It's just a tan. I think it's probably slightly better on the right, but you can just see he's fuller and sharper, like through the obliques, more vascularity through the shoulder. So we just had time in the weeks leading into this to get him leaner, which meant we could fill him out more. So we had more time loading him up. For this show, I think we had 2, maybe 3 days of higher carbs and then did a like lower day to kind of sharpen him up because he wasn't as lean as what he was here. Whereas here, it was very much linear load, more and more food each and every day. And he woke up full as a house, and we were really, really pleased with this. So he's got a couple more shows left, so I'm excited for those, and there'll be some small improvements we can make. But yeah, that was client stuff at least for this time.
And then obviously the most post today with Ali. Shout out to Ali, who probably listens
to the podcast. Yes,
yeah,
Ali, my man.
Crazy progress since 2024. Like wow, like upper body looking jacked. It's like woo,
yeah. Let
exploded.
me just quickly share because we're talking about it. For those listening, I posted on my today of the 25th of September, Ali, my man who's starting comp prep. And he's just left to right. You can't visibly see it as well because it's different angles and what have you. But you can tell the condition is similar, and just knowing he's 15 pounds heavier on the right, it's all you need to know that he's basically gained almost exclusively that being muscle, which is awesome. And like I said, 94% of our time was spent on pure growth in a surplus over the 76 weeks we've had together. We started April 2024, so basically like a year in a surplus. And yeah, he's super passionate about bodybuilding, and I almost have to hold him back. He'll know that I have to hold him back a little bit from getting ahead of himself. But we're in a great starting point for prep. We've got tons of time, so I'm excited for him.
What the time of the year would you be anticipating doing shows?
Around April. So it is earlier. Yeah. So it's not a planned pre-prep because I don't think he needs it for his level of condition that he's already got, where he's got like basically separation everywhere to some extent. I don't think he's needing that, but we might end up taking like a 1 to 2 week diet break after we lose like 5 to 10% of his weight. I basically want to get him on the cusp of when you're feeling like that lower intervention point kind of thing. And then if we have more time than we need, possibly take a week break, see how he's doing, then maybe take him down into the depths of like, right, we're on fire now, let's keep digging. But he wants to, I think now it's changed a little bit. When I first competed, same with you, Mike, when you first competed, you didn't have so much awareness of the level of competition, the physiques that are being brought to stage and what the expectations were. But now you can literally follow, like people document their entire prep. And you can see pros documenting their entire prep. And so you now can have expectations of yourself wanting to be on that level, even though it's your first time. So I know Ali wants to be like a professional in his prep. And I love that. And I think it's a great ambition, but it's recognizing you are still new and there's going to be so many things you're you haven't experienced before. We've only done a mini cut together, so like it's going to be a great journey to travel with him. I love taking first timers to stage because I think the first, like anything in life, like the first time just sets the stage for future times. So if you can have a good first time, it just sets a career of hopefully bodybuilding for him.
Definitely. And it, as something that I mentioned today to someone else, was that sometimes there are only lessons that you can experience. You know, you can't always, you know, learn them from other people. And so, you know, until you've gone through that first season yourself, there are going to be things which you might theoretically know in your head, but you won't really know how to navigate until you actually face them yourself. And if it doesn't turn out the way that you want to, it's like, you don't be hard on yourself, but it's like, again, it's your first time. You know, it's to be expected. And I think on that note as well, I think it's good to have high standards, but maybe low expectations. So you hold yourself to a high standard, so you can hold yourself to like maybe a pro standard, but you don't have expectations of being a pro because it's your first time. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's not outcome focused at all, which is great. He's very process driven, which is awesome. I don't know why the analogy that always comes to mind when people talk about like you have to experience something to know. I don't know why this comes to mind for me, but the example is passing out. So have you passed out before, Mike? Like where you've just like lost consciousness and been
Yeah.
aware of losing consciousness and then waking up and be like, whoa, where am I?
Yeah.
So I've done that a small number of times in my life. I can only remember like once in hospital. I don't know why, but I can just remember passing out with something they did there. Another time was when I was sick and I had a hot shower, sat down, and then I woke up in the bath having hit my head, being like, what the flip happened here? I was like, I don't know, my blood pressure just got to a point where I passed out. And then the other time was again my first tattoo. Within like the first 5 minutes, I'm really bad with new things. I really stress myself out. So, and apparently it's really common. It wasn't like pain or anything like that, which I think people think. Like it's not that painful. Like in the first 5 minutes of a tattoo, it's just like it's not that bad. But it's just so novel, and my body's just like boom. And I just remember waking up and he had my feet up in the air, and I was like, oh. Anyway, it's a weird experience. What was yours? What do you remember yours?
Yeah, so it was, the main one that I can remember was, it was actually in the gym. So I was front squatting and the bar was on my neck. And I think
shit.
it was pressing down so hard. I just remember literally, it felt like I was just kind of going back into a swimming pool. I just remember going, oh, this is nice. And then I woke up literally and I slapped the floor, and the gym owner just came rushing over, and like he managed to catch the bar because I had the bar like on me. So he managed to like catch things before it got really
bad. That could have
bad.
been bad.
Yeah, that would have been one of those YouTube not good things in the gym video.
I guess that also made you be like, right, I need safety bars. Like right
Yeah.
underneath me for that movement.
So
fuck front squats.
I know. So yeah, but that was the main like fainting episode that I can remember. I haven't had too many others like that.
But it's pretty unique. Like I couldn't describe that sense to someone. It's so weird. Yeah, that's the only news on my end.
Yeah.
The only like global news I have, Mike, is the UKDFBA show over the past weekend, which neither of us were at, and neither of us had clients at, unfortunately. But they have a number of photos available on their Instagram. People can definitely go check that out and see. But yeah, it was just interesting to see, like you said, see some people compete with them who maybe didn't do the WNBF or whatever. But it was also interesting to see people who did the WNBF and then place differently versus other competitors. And I think that is just a good reminder of like how close things can be, because I imagine it was really close with some of them, and like different judging panel, but also maybe they turned up worse and what someone turned up better. Like a week, quite a lot can happen, and especially during peak weeks, like it notoriously we like to say like it can't make your physique, but those, if there is small margins between competitors, peak week can be the difference. So if it goes well or not, like that could be a 5% difference. That could mean the 1-2 points that get you the nod for whatever reason. So yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on it.
Yeah, totally. Just even things like fatigue, like if you've competed in 2-3 shows back to back, just that accumulated fatigue, even if nothing else changes, can make a big difference. I know I can't think of his second name, but Darren, coach DSL.
Yep.
He was at the Supernaturals and he could have competed, but he decided to take the weekend off, take a break, and he competed in the UKDFBA. And I think he won his class. I think he won the lightweights.
So
And just, yeah, that decision of, hey, not competing at the Supernaturals, just having it more as a chilled weekend could have done in the world of good. Like you said, you don't know sometimes.
yeah, completely. Nice.
The
I
yeah,
guess. Oh,
I
any
guess
other news?
just the other add-on to that is obviously Lee Kemp, head of the UKDFBA, has
Oh
stepped down, I
yes.
think, and he's handed over the reins to Christian, I think
Yeah.
that's his name. So that was something quite, that was news, I would say. And the
Definitely
only,
news. Lee's been running the UKDFBA, what, it's like a decade now? And
yeah,
yeah, for anyone who's competed with them, like when you think of the UKDFBA, you think of Lee because he's always like behind the microphone. He has his like preferred music, so on and so forth. And he's a character in for himself. And yeah, I am always grateful to him because for my first season, reaching out to them and oh, like long story short, like I, from my accident, had that short term use of TRT. And I reached out to all the UK federations, and some were like, yes, with doctor's note and whatever. And he was one of those federations where it's like, yes, so long as like you pass all these parameters, like no reason you can't compete with us. And I'll be forever grateful for the MPA and the UKDFBA for like giving me that green light on that first season when others didn't. So yeah, I'm
no.
forever grateful. And yeah, that show was also like that novice show that I did with the UKDFBA was a great show. I see, like, it's iconic to me because I remember it because it was one of my first shows ever. But the lighting and everything was like, I see other people who have got photos under that lighting, and I'm like, I know you were at that show in 2014. It's quite cool. And I competed against Ben Howard, who beat me, obviously, who now is like notoriously one of the best lightweights in the world.
And it's interesting as well. Every federation has like a bit of a distinct lighting. I think some like the UK DFBA always looks a bit different from the WNBF, from the MPA. So every Fed has got like have got their
You think
own.
so?
I think sometimes, yeah,
I
maybe
think
it's
just
just
the BNBF have like a very standard lighting. Everyone else is just, it's a little bit hit or miss. It's quite often.
probably at the mercy of the venue, right? Just whatever the
Yeah.
venue can put up for them.
But the BNBF, to me, they're the only ones who like, they have the same backdrop. They always have stunning lighting. They do a great job, to be fair to them.
Absolutely. Yeah. The only other, I don't know if this might not be news, it's more of a question about if it's news or not. So, have you noticed if Sartorius training is becoming a thing?
This is exactly what I said. Like, was it last week or 2 weeks
Oh, did
ago?
you
I
say it
told
last
you.
week?
Yeah, I
Oh,
said hip
yeah.
flexor training, right?
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't group Sartorius in with hip flexor training. Sorry.
We literally
Uh,
talked about them as a hip
I
flexor.
know. Sorry, it's come to my head now for sure. I've seen a couple more people doing it now, and I'm like, what?
Brandon, you saw.
I saw Brandon doing it, and I saw someone in
Really?
the gym doing it, and I was like,
Oh, did you?
and I was,
Yeah, funny.
yeah. So,
Yeah, I told you it was getting around. People are isolating trying to isolate the Sartorius, so it's interesting.
there you go. But yeah, sorry, I've got a memory like a goldfish. Forgot.
Well, I said hip flexors, but I mean it is training the hip flexors, right? But yeah, it's just interesting. That's one lift. Yeah, it's funny how it's like you see one person do it, and then like it kind of spreads by wildfire, or is it just you notice it because you've now seen it and someone's spoken to you about it? Because one thing I'm doing at the moment is on my machine fly to try and hit the upper chest. I use it twice a week. So in one time, I just do it standard. And then the other time, I put a yoga block behind my back, lean forward into it. And that's to try and hit the clavicular or the upper chest more. And I actually saw Alberto Nunez doing it in a vlog. I was like, I'll try that. And I was like, oh, that's nice. And now I swear I'm seeing everyone do it. And I'm like, was everyone already doing that? Or is it now like, I don't know, like it's so funny. These trends
Yeah.
occur and whatever. So
There you go.
soon we'll be training our Sartorius.
Maybe, indeed. We'll be poo-pooing
like
it,
neck
and now we're
training.
going to be training it. Indeed, yeah. But who knows? There you go. But no, that's
I
it. I
don't
haven't got any other news at all.
Yeah, I don't think I have any other. Yeah, I think we can leave the news segment there. I don't think there was anything too much else.
No.
The exciting news for next week is it's the Yorton Cup this weekend. So that's always a big show with the OCB, and Eve is on the run for that. So our goal was to get to the Yorton Cup, but we want to. Let's see how she can do. She did well in her first pro debut, so I'm hoping we can love a placing for her. But as long as she brings an improved look, which she already has, that'll be great.
Fingers crossed. Exciting times.
Yeah, Ali. We mentioned Ali, right?
Yeah.
We're still. I think he'd be most competitive probably in men's physique, but he wants to do an open or classic. He'd probably then be more competitive in classic, but because posing is such a large part of that, I think it's just hard as a first timer unless they have novice classic or first timer classic to it takes a long time to get to grips with posing unless you've already you're into it during your off season and for years already. So yeah, open lightweight will probably be where he's at. He wants to get shredded. So sometimes you just go with your heart and there's no problem doing that versus I think it's also I don't know, you wouldn't pick shows that you know you're going to be more competitive at because they're going to be less competitive shows. You do the ones that are close to you and are competitive because then it challenges you and it's more fun and interesting that way. So that'll be good.
Yeah. And again, it'll be a learning experience for Ali, right? So even if he chooses something and it's do you know what? Maybe I would have made a different decision. That's cool. That's something for next time.
Yeah, for sure. How about yourself? Is there anyone lining up at the moment?
Well, actually, so Aaron, who often asks questions on this podcast, he's considering competing next year. So
Cool.
Aaron, I think he'll be competitive. I really do. I think he's got really nice muscle shape. I think he's got a good physique. I think similar thing. I think if we can just start getting him to think about posing even now a little bit, then I think that'll work in his favor. And we've got a plan in place probably for the latter part of next year. That would be very, very exciting. So that's the main one for me at the moment.
Is he UK based?
Yes, he's
Cool.
in Yorkshire. So eyeing up potentially the NPA Northern, which is in Yorkshire typically in Penistone, and that'll be really close to him. So that'll be nice. It's a great show because it's relatively small. So for someone who's competing for the first time, it's just a lovely show. That was obviously where I won. That was the show that I won. But it's just a nice show for someone competing for the first time. And then, so I said latter in the year, but actually we potentially might be looking for the first timers in June.
Yeah, that'd be cool because then we can be there, and it's always nice.
Yeah,
that'd be really good.
yeah,
But if there are people thinking about competing next year, and especially if you're considering it a coach and you're listening, we're obviously on your radar. Don't leave it too late. Basically, is what I would say. The more time you can have. That's literally what I just said with Ali. Actually, is we had a whole year together. Where I know how he ticks. You know how you read people differently. How what they need to be told and what they don't need to be told. Like I told you. I can tell he's over eager, and I have to hold him back a little bit. All right, don't get your blinkers on too much. So it's little things like that, and it's nothing like having a bit more time with someone. And I mean, that as a natural time is your biggest asset. So don't delay, guys.
indeed. Yeah, well said.
Should we get to questions?
Let's get into questions.
I was going to suggest we get through the Instagram ones first because our man Killer Killer K009009 has asked a number of questions, and obviously we've covered quite a lot of his in the past, but I'm sure we'll have time to probably get through the ones in Instagram and there. So shall I ask you the first one, Mike?
Yes, fire away.
So this is just an easy fun one to start with our man Remy. You can choose 3 foods to have 0 calories while still having its macros. How does that work? While still having its macros, what foods are you choosing?
Oh, okay, good question. This is actually quite tough. Okay, so I'm being put on the spot here, so forgive me if I say vanilla ice cream, but vanilla ice, no, not
That would be
vanilla
a
ice
good
cream.
thing. That would
That would be
confirm that
good.
that is your
Yeah.
like favorite flavor.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you said like a dessert, the macros for some desserts are pretty poor. So my head's immediately going to what kind of protein options might there be, even if there's 0
Mike,
calories. Yeah.
I'm struggling with it having 0 calories but still having macros. Can we just
Yeah.
say it's 0 everything? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
macros, if it has macros, it has calories. It can't have macros without calories.
Yeah.
Remy,
It's
sorry, we're just going to
it's
say it's 0
confusing
calories.
me. Definitely. Like, okay, this is going to make it easier. So it's 0 everything. So what I would go with would be, I think, do you know what? Yeah, I'd go pizza. I'd go pizza of any kind. I would go ice cream. And I'd go um mm, maybe something chocolatey. Yeah, that'd be
Chocolate.
my yeah, chocolate. Chocolate.
That works. Oh, damn. It's actually an interesting question. My head can go in too many places, so I just want it. It's fun. I'm taking it at face value. Cheesecake.
Oh, okay.
So
Nice
calorie dense. It's not something I would eat very often because of that reason, but it's freaking fire. Unreal. Cheesecake would be in there.
choice.
I think pizza, but I'm going to refine pizza to be like deep pan Chicago or whatever, deep pan pizza with loads of cheese and, all of that good stuff. And I would refine ice cream to gelato, but yeah, I feel like I should pick a different one to you. Cheesecake isn't different enough. What would I pick? I'm basically thinking, Mike, what do I want to eat that I don't eat because of the like calories that are in it?
Pastry? Any pastries?
Yeah, I was thinking like a almond croissant or like a pain au chocolat or something like that would be pretty good. Or like donut, like like the donut we had in Boston. The what was it called? It was like a maple bacon donut. It's very good.
Damn, what was it called? Yeah, it was like bacon and honey glaze.
Was it not maple?
Maybe it was maple, actually. You're right. Sorry, maple. Oops.
Honey does go with bacon, doesn't it? Or it's like honey ham. That's where it normally is. Anyway,
yeah,
I'm going to
was
go with the maple bacon donut or donuts in general.
Nice one. Maybe I won't change my decision now, but then I just mentioned I thought about is it egg bread? What's that bread that you have that we had with the breakfast?
Why have I forgotten? Not fried bread. French toast.
French toast. That's the one. Like
French
maybe
toast
French toast.
can be
Actually,
banging. Or the pancakes we had, Mike.
Too
many choices.
I know. Pancakes would be up there.
Yeah.
Too many.
Right.
Many.
We'll get to the next one then.
So Jared_Blythe asks, do you think tempo matters? As long as you're controlling the eccentric, you're going to get the same hypertrophic response.
So I do think tempo matters, but only to the point of avoiding extremes. And those extremes would be no control, because you're letting gravity do all the work and you're not using your muscles to control that eccentric, or you're controlling it way too much. And it's like super slow training, which might be maybe 6 seconds or more of an eccentric. That starts to get into a category of like the loads are so light, I don't think it's one most efficient, but also likely the mechanical tension is reduced because the load is so light because you're going so slow. So long as you're in controlled eccentric without going excessively slow, you're golden. And I wouldn't overthink it more than that. Did you ever have this, Mike? I don't know if you ever programmed like this. I never actually did, but I did get educated and taught how to do it. And I have had conversations with clients who have been PTs who wanted me to do like a tempo like column in their sheet where it's like I don't know, because it has like the eccentric, the concentric, and then like the change of direction, like if there's a pause or not. So you'd put like 2, 0, 3 or something like that, and like change it for every exercise and so on and so forth. But I'm just like, lift with the control. As Jared said, you're good.
Definitely. I think Charles Poliquin was quite big on that. Like, I
That
remember
wouldn't surprise me.
his sort of training was all that kind of stuff. I remember that. Funny little anecdote story, just quickly. Which you reminded me of. So, in the last Revive get together for the Christmas get together last year, me, Rob, and Andrew, we'd had pizza. We'd all started kind of traveling home, and me, Rob, and Andrew were getting the train, and we were just chatting about training and stuff. If they're listening, they might smile. And there was this lady who was just listening, and then she started to kind of chime in, and she went, "Have you heard of this book called The Power of Five?" or something like that? And basically, it was like everything is a 5 second eccentric. Like all your exercises are 5 second eccentric, and like no, exactly what you were just talking about. Knowing that information, like me, me, Andrew, and Rob, we were just kind of in awkward silence, going, "Yes, yeah, it's great," kind of thing. That's great. But yeah, she was just bigging up this book, saying, "Yeah, you've got to check out this book, The Power of Five. It's going to revolutionize your training. You don't have to use big weights. It's all about 5 second eccentric or whatever." And we were just standing there in awkward silence. And then, fortunately, she left when she had to get the train. So yeah,
Sometimes you just have to, those situations, you nod and smile, and you're just like, yes, okay, got
it was
you.
a nod and
I have that.
smiled. I could have played devil's advocate, but I didn't. We just nod and smiled.
Mike, do you ever see, how do you like your concentric? Because I have noticed some people like to also control that, whereas I don't think it's a must, but I like a kind of powerful concentric, like basically trying to move that weight as quickly as I can. One of the reasons I like that is because inevitably, as I fatigue, I'm going to get to that point anyway, because the body's just going to like want to use all its resources, and so it's going to want to move powerfully, and it allows me to have a bit better recognition of when I'm approaching failure. If I always use that kind of powerful concentric, it's like as soon as it starts slowing down, I'm like, right, we're in the money zone, right?
Definitely. And this is something I've struggled with a little bit in the past, where if I'm not aggressive or assertive in those first couple of reps, then it somehow it affects my ability to get the appropriate gauge to failure. Like I'll get like a second wind, and I'll just somehow keep going. But if I'm from the get-go, if I'm assertive, then I'm much more accurate with my RARs. I get to failure a bit better. So yeah, I like an assertive, being aggressive with the concentric.
Yeah, I'm completely with you there. What I was going to bring up was, I was just trying to find it in my notes, was the recent paper that came out where Dr. Pack was the lead author, was Optimizing Resistance Training Technique to Maximize Muscle Hypertrophy, a narrative review. They concluded 2 to 8 second rep duration. So it's not like they're not dividing the eccentric, concentric, whatever. There's moderate evidence for a 2 to 8 second like rep duration. So there's many ways to skin a cat, as we like to say, through that. But yeah, I tend to like controlled eccentric, generally complex lifts, go a bit more slowly to maintain good technique, and then athletic, assertive on the concentric, and then pause can be a variation that you might use.
I think the more I feel that the more advanced you are, externally it might look fast, but that person is in control sometimes. So it depends on maybe the level of the advancement of the trainee.
I completely agree. I have, and this is where I did a post on this recently, just saying like, to get from intermediate to advanced and then make gains in as an advanced individual, I think you need to be willing to throw out the rule book a little bit. And I've actually heard Scott Stevenson talk about this, and I only thought about it in hindsight after I made that post, was where he spoke about, I think he said, maybe it's Dante Trudel talked about it in like, get freaky with it. Like, that's the way to talk about it. Like, get a bit freaky with your training, like experiment, try something, like see what works. Because once you're advanced, like there's only so much books can tell you, only so much studies can tell you. So I think, I don't know where I was going with this. I've completely lost my trail of thought. But anyway, like sometimes you have to throw out the rule book as well. So
We were talking about form may look fast to the external eye, but the person may be in control.
This is it. So as an example, I know off the top of my head, Dirk Emmerich, we talk about Dirk often. He shares all his training on Instagram, which is awesome. He is, I would say, his even concentrics are quite controlled and slow. clearly works for him. And I think there's a reason he's gone down that path. I think it's a mistake for everyone to be like, oh, he's like a world level pro bodybuilder. I should be doing that. I have a client, Colin, who is jacked out of his mind, just turned pro this year, again with the OCB, and he lifts very athletically, every lift. And I've gone through periods of trying to slow him down, and he's just like, I feel like it just takes away from the tension from where I want it to be. And he just gets into this very like, even his RDLs, like, I was like, I don't want that any quicker. But that's like, so long as it feels good to you. And he's grown heaps of muscle through lifting very athletically. So yeah, I think it's, again, 2 to 8 seconds is what the research says. If you're in that range, you're probably golden. The specifics matter much less than it feels good to you.
Yeah, totally agree. You could even, maybe you could make the extreme example of Branch Warren. You know, he's the most probably notorious bodybuilder that's been criticized for his technique, but you know, he always said he was in control and it felt good for him. So it's like, hey, there might be something to that.
Did he screw himself up though? Is that the only thing that you might? I don't know.
So he did have injuries, but they were outside of the gym. So he ruptured his patella tendons by falling down the stairs or like tripping.
Could you make an argument that was related to what he was doing in the gym?
I don't know, maybe. I think it's more related to the fact that he was probably on gear and that his connective tissues were just weak.
Yeah, it's a tricky one when you go into that, because you also have to consider like some people are just more dainty than others. Some people are just more thick-boned and resilient to injury and stuff. So it just ends up opening a bit of a can of worms of we don't completely know. Anyway, right. I'll ask you all.grit.no gear. Wait, I should say all grit, no gear.
Yeah.
Oh, Ada, you have made a stinker right now. She loves to release some gas. Right. Do you believe you can truly add muscle while in a calorie deficit? Example, while in prep or in a recomp phase?
Well, I think it's possible under the right circumstances, but again, it probably depends on the individual, their level of advancement, how deep they are into the calorie deficit. I think all of those factors make a difference. So if you've literally just started in a calorie deficit, why couldn't you not, gain muscle? It might be minuscule, but hey, you're still gaining. Whereas if you're in the absolute depths of prep, yeah, probably not. Equally, if you're a novice, very new to training and in a calorie deficit, sure, you might gain a little bit of muscle. Again, won't be maximum, but it'll be a bit. So I don't, this might be another one of those questions which it's not black and white. It's, shades of gray. You could still be gaining muscle. It's just not going to be maximal or optimal.
Yeah, for sure. It's so context dependent. And it, for me, boils down to what is the muscle growth potential of that person and the way that their environment and program is set up. So it's like if they are quote unquote optimal on every front, nutrition, training, like they're pushing the boundaries there, their sleep, and they are 1 year in the gym versus 10 years in the gym, yeah, their muscle growth potential is going to, like if all else is equal, like you could base it off years of training, but all else isn't equal. So you could have someone optimizing everything who's a decade deep into their lifting, and then have someone else who is, a year in, but only trains once a week and has a junk food diet, whatever, and doesn't eat sufficient protein by any means. Their actual muscle growth potential could be very similar. So it's not an easy answer. And I just think it's important to recognize that in calorie deficits, your muscle growth potential is reduced because of that, but it doesn't mean you can't grow muscle. And it shouldn't be used as an excuse to not give everything to your training. Yeah. It reminds me of a case study, or I think there was a meta-analysis of case studies. I did a podcast with Dr. Pack and Brad Schoenfeld on this. And in those case studies, they often find people grow muscle, and specifically women grow quite a lot of muscle in those case studies. And I think, and they posit, I think it's related to women don't get quite as lean as men. Obviously, having very little body fat on you really crushes your ability to grow muscle at some point due to your hormones and everything. So just interesting. So do you believe you can truly add muscle while in a calorie deficit? Absolutely. Just it will depend on the person, the likelihood, and the amount.
Yeah, completely
Basically
agree.
repeated what you said, Mike.
No, you didn't. But you also, you added your originality to it, your own flavor to it. So it's all good. You
My
added your
flavor.
chocolate to my vanilla.
my sprinkles.
Yeah. So, Caster, is it? Yeah, Castata Stephen asks, if I'm short on time and have 5 straight sets, how would I convert that to drop sets for a similar stimulus?
Ooh. I don't know that we have a objective answer to this. I think people have posited fractional amounts that the drop sets count as, and maybe they count as half, which again would lead me to think maybe you need to do 10. But I can't be certain that that would equate directly. But that doesn't sound too off to me. I don't know if you have more than that, Mike.
Not really. My only other addition to that might be that, because drop sets is obviously where you're taking no rest and you're just dropping the weight and keep going. But obviously, you've also got other techniques such as my reps, my match sets, which might allow you to equate the volume a little bit better, but you still wouldn't be totally accurate necessarily with that. So, yeah, I wouldn't have any more of a definitive answer.
I think what you're trying to say is practically it doesn't make sense to do like a straight set and then drop 10 times because you're eventually going to be like under the weight that you're using. It wouldn't work. So you'd have to do like maybe a straight set and then 2, maybe 3 drop sets, and then a straight set, 2, 3 drop sets, and then maybe 3 straight sets with then like 2 or so drop sets, and that's roughly equivalent. I completely agree because yeah, you can drop the load so light that you're not doing anything at that point, and that's no good.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that system would be really good.
What's this? I asked ChatGPT. A rough equivalence from research and practical experience. 1 to 2 drop sets taken close to failure often provide similar hypertrophy stimulus to 1 to 2 straight sets with a heavier load. Some coaches consider 1 executed drop set equals 1 to 1.5 straight sets. So I guess so that's kind of what we're saying. 1.5. That's a straight set plus a drop set counts as like 1.5 straight sets. So yeah, I would use that kind of conversion and take into consideration not doing more than like 3 drop sets after your straight set.
Yeah. No, nice.
Awesome.
Cool.
Now we can get to killers questions.
Killers.
Right?
I want to say, I don't know why, I want to say kilowatt every time.
I know.
Okay. Did you want to start?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. I just didn't ask you that one. So, killer, why am I weaker at 5 to 10 reps after 2 to 3 months of temporarily switching to 20 to 25 reps for the same exercise? I think that's it, really. Why is he weaker?
Well, I think there could be a technical aspect to it from so when the execution of maybe 20 to 25 reps might be slightly different because whereas you're using a heavier load for 5 to 10 reps, there might be just an adjustment period. Well, it says 2 to 3 months, so to be fair, that is a long time. I was just going to say that there's an adjustment periods of maybe adjusting to the load being heavier or the load being lighter, and your repetitions being different. Weaker, again, maybe 2 to 3 months isn't a long enough period of time. Maybe you need to just wait longer and just wait for your progress.
The way I interpreted that, Mike, was he did 2 to 3 months of 20 to 25. After doing 5 to 10, he then did 2 to 3 months of 20 to 25 and then came back to 5 to 10 after that time away. That's how I interpret it. Is that how you interpret it?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I interpreted it.
I think you nailed it with the skill aspect.
Yeah.
I think it's, they've, again, strength is specific to not just an exercise, but also the rep range you're using. So if you're not used to, you've had 2 to 3 months off, whatever it is, load, and if it's the same movement, doesn't really matter. Your body is not skilled at lifting that load anymore.
Exactly. And it doesn't mean you've lost muscle. It just means that you're out of practice, essentially.
Yeah.
Because we often talk about it like, we've, joked that, what would your deadlift be? What would your 1 rep max be? But you'd spend time before you test it because you want to get skilled at, lifting your 1 rep max. So, yeah, it's a thing.
That's a great example, actually. It's like powerlifters peak for a reason. They can't just lift their kind of best performance on any given day. They need to specifically peak that skill and exhibit that strength on a given day and taper and so on and so forth, because it is such a skill. So yeah, it's not surprising that you can't lift the same loads just yet. What would surprise me, Mike, is depends on the person a little bit, but I would expect within a month for them to be back working with the same loads they were before and beyond for all-time PRs at some point in the near future, at least.
I think the only other thing which just crossed my mind is because he did mention about tendonitis. Sometimes this should have settled. So sometimes with some injuries, you can get pain inhibition. So if you've got pain related to a tendon or whatever, that will inhibit your body's ability to exhibit strength as well. But I'm assuming from his question that after that period of going to higher reps, the tendonitis settled down. So the pain inhibition should hopefully be less of a problem, but it could be a small factor.
Yeah. And he was, and definitely agree with that. I think anyone who's had like a little injury, you almost can tell like your body's holding back because it's trying to protect itself in that way. He said, shouldn't I be stronger now? Because if he's grown muscle, shouldn't he be stronger? Yes, but not in the short term, because again, it's a skill. That muscle isn't skilled at lifting that load just yet. So yeah,
exactly.
Simple as that, really.
Indeed. All right. Question 2. So, I'm just going to read the blurb. I think he was just adding context in that other bit. So number 2, he asks, I've been lifting since 2009 and used to train with higher volume, 15 to 20 sets per week, everything to failure plus sprints and running. That approach left me with recurring joint issues, neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, lower back, knees. Oh gosh, where's his question? Do you think the extensive small muscle work could be eating into my system? Maybe I'm skipped ahead too fast.
I did just read it all at this point.
Let's read it
it's
all.
It's easier,
then.
Isn't it?
Okay,
I need it as well.
So his approach left him with recurring joint issues. In the past few years, I've really delved into evidence-based lifting, like you guys, RP, Eric Helms, Jeff Nippard, etc., and added a lot of smaller muscle isolation work, such as the wrists, the tibialis anterior, the neck, abs, QL, hip abductors, etc., to try to build resilience, following ideas like the knees over toes guy. Currently, I run an 8 to 9 day push legs pull cycle with A and B days, 6 exercises per session, 1 to 4 sets per exercise. I'm training at the lower end of volume guidelines, 4 to 8 fractional sets per muscle per week. But I still tend to hit joint connective tissue limits after about 5 to 6 weeks and need to deload, even when bulking. My muscles feel like they could handle more, but my meso length, frequency, and volume seem capped by joint recovery. Do you think the extensive small muscle work could be eating into my systemic recovery and limiting how much I can train the bigger physique muscles, or is a 5 to 6 week meso just normal given my history?
It's a lot there, isn't there, Mike?
There you go.
We've said before to Killer that he needs to just sign up for coaching.
Yeah.
Just because he's obviously dived into this a lot. I actually have you looked into knees over toes, Guy?
Not properly. I know of him, but I've never watched any of his content.
I've heard his name, and that's to the extent of what I know about him. But yeah, when I don't know, it sounds bad, but my eyes kind of roll when I hear someone say they're doing like wrist, tibialis, neck, abs, QL, probably Sartorius, hip abductors, calves. I'm calves. Good. I'm glad you're training those. Abs, of course. I think they're worthwhile. And not to say those things aren't necessarily worthwhile, but when I hear people list out like they're trying to isolate everything, it just makes me think like, oh, how much are you like it asks about could the extensive small muscle work be eating into systemic recovery? For sure, especially when you're doing as much as that is. I just think about it, even for myself, Mike. I actually just recorded, and this is a bit of a teaser for people, a videographer filmed session with Steven, my man. And I just introduced it because I was training upper body, but I did abs first. And I was like, I'm doing abs first because for me, they're a bit of a priority because I need to make sure I have good thick abs for the judges on stage because I don't have the thickest abs. So I don't want that to become a negative. But also, as everyone listening knows, when you do abs at the end of a session, do you really give them a good go? And whatever's at the end of the session, you could argue is in that situation. But I think some things are worse than others. I just think those fringe muscles, they just tend to not get that much love. But if I had to do like abs and then calves and then neck and then tip, I'm just like, there's only so much I can give before I'm just like, even if physiologically I was okay, psychologically I'm just like, this is just so much work. Nothing comes for free. It all takes away. And yeah, I've been there myself when I've trained like forearms and so on and so forth, and I've experimented with that. Not gone to neck, but never say never. But I don't do like shrugs or even like rear delt work, trap work. Like it's not something that like it gets hit by other stuff for most people sufficiently that you don't need to worry about then adding isolation work in. It just gets to be a lot. So I do think it could be limiting systemic recovery. The other thing he mentioned was 5 to 6 week long mesocycles. I don't think that's the end of the world. I think 5 to 6 weeks is pretty fine. We did that for years, saw really good results. And if that's the length of time you can train sufficiently hard to grow really good muscle, and if you try and train past that, you go into unproductive training, your performance starts going down, joint and connective tissue sounds like would start limiting you, then backing off is not a problem. Could we look into anything you're doing within your program, like technique, exercise selection, to try and help work around that and extend the time of which those things became limiters? For sure, but we can't know. So I don't think there's inherently anything that's a problem, but it does sound like he's adding in a bit too much quote unquote fluff. And by removing some of that, it might open up a little bit more systemic recovery that actually allows for a longer mesocycle length. But I said this to clients. I don't know who I was saying it to recently. I think it was Jake, saying he kind of said something along the lines of he wants to like string out this mesocycle for as long as possible. I'm always like, I understand where you're coming from with that, but we don't want to just string it out for the sake of stringing it out. We only want to keep it going for as long as what it's productive. If your body is giving you signs and signals that performance is going to dip and recovery is a limiter, and you're doing everything right on your end, that isn't a bad thing. It's just, hey, just take it for what it is today. It's similar to, you might want to add a rep week on week for a certain lift, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. And that's okay. You gave your best, and you can only listen to your body and give the feedback. To ignore it would lead to problems down the line. So yeah, I'm sure you have some additional thoughts there, Mike.
No, I love that. And it made me think of, you've just got to let the process, or let it be what it will be, you know, just let it fall where it will fall, and just trust that, like, hey, like you said, if your intention is to maybe progress performance, but if you just end up matching, it's fine. Just let it be what be. Same with everything else. So yeah, I love that. The only additional things, so on a thought that came to mind on all of these small muscle groups is, you know, was Killer measuring anything when he was implementing these small muscles? Because how do you know they've made a difference if you just added them? You know, it's kind of like, right, if you start forearm training, right, maybe, you know, take some body part measurements of your forearm, so that maybe you've just got a bit of a metric. Because I would say, firstly, I agree with you. I think, you know, by removing some of that, you will open up lots of systemic recovery. Definitely more so if you haven't been tracking it, or if you don't feel like you've been making much progress, even more of a reason to take it out. But yeah, I think sometimes when you're adding in these small muscle groups, be aware of the cost, the trade-off, but definitely measure something related to it so that you legitimately know if it's actually making a difference or not. And then the only final point that I wanted to add was it. Killer didn't mention it specifically, but it was just also related to what you said about, discussing exercise selection, discussing rep ranges as well. Like if there is just a very confined rep range. So as an example, with what you mentioned in the earlier question about using 5 to 10 reps, if that was only the exclusive range that he was using, then again, that might, potentially lead to niggles. Whereas if there's a bigger range of rep ranges, then that could again just provide more variety, provide a bit more of a breather to some of those connective tissues, which might potentially extend it. But if it doesn't, don't stress. Like you said, 5 to 6 weeks is pretty decent. And if your body is saying, I need a break, go with it.
An analogy I love for what you mentioned there, Mike, is thinking about like hammering a nail into something, or hammering whatever it is. Just think about hammering, I don't know, an egg or whatever it is. If you hammer the same place over and over again, you're going to smash the egg really, really quickly. It's going to break through. Whereas if you hammer it there, hammer it here, you like tap all around it, you're still hammering the egg. It's still specific to that goal, but it's not going to crack as soon. I don't know why I'm using an egg and hammering it, but it's similar here. Like you said, if you're always using the same exercises, the same rep ranges, so on and so forth, it's just hammering the same area over and over again. It's going to crack a bit sooner. And this is why daily undulating periodization became popular, is because it's undulating aspects within the program within the week. So you kind of, again, hammer a little bit here, hammer a little bit there. It might be through different exercises, might be through slightly different rep ranges. And that's one of the key benefits, is that management of fatigue through a week and that undulation fashion. So I think that's a big one. And the biggest contributing factor to fatigue within hypertrophy training is volume. And it sounds like he already was probably doing too much volume from the sounds of things, 15 to 20 sets per muscle per week, and now he's stripped it back down, but then he's added all this other stuff in, so it's like almost taking him back up to a similar total set volume just systemically. So it's like, maybe just get rid of all this stuff and just focus on the lower volume for a period of time, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah,
Sally's your aunt.
good point.
Win.
Totally. And again, it's things like that which you just don't realize sometimes you've added, and you just don't. It's kind of like you could just, if you're tracking your meals but you don't account for maybe the veg or the sauce, and it's like you leave those bits out, you say, it's only vegetables, but hey, it's still calories at the end of the day.
That's a great comparison, Mike. So good. Because it's like, these are all just like, it's just wrists, it's just tibialis, it's just neck. But similar, like if you just add broccoli, you just add sweet corn, you just add, like, it starts adding up, and suddenly you're hundreds of calories over. Like we said, everything counts. It's like, yeah, and very analogous to the diet and thinking, again, nothing comes for free.
Exactly. That's a big thing.
Nice. We've covered all the questions this week. There were not that many Instagram questions. I don't know if it's because I put too much other stuff in my hypertrophic time chamber, but I just had stuff to share, which was Chris Palin,
yes,
for example, because he competed at the UKDFBA. Unbelievable. His condition is wild. And actually, I have to retract some of my statements previously, and let me screen share just briefly.
Yeah, that back shot that you shared was just ridiculous. Like, just, crazy.
So I said I wasn't sure if he'd progressed that much over the years in terms of muscularity. Always comes in shredded. I put in the wrong name. But Bob Waterhouse, his coach, shared this transformation. And credit where credit is due, Chris has made tremendous progress over the years. So this is it's a long time, of course, but natural bodybuilding is this way. 2017 to 2025, same stage weight. Whoa, that's wild, right? That's natural bodybuilding in a nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, would you say there as well, in the 2017 shot, he's not tensing his glutes in the same way, so he might be striated, but just not to the same degree?
Yeah, I'm sure he's got condition there. He just can't show it.
But that's definitely, yeah, clear progress, like you
He
said.
hasn't got the thong going on, which
No.
I mean, I'm not hating against it. I also did it, and yeah, he's not flexing his hips.
Mm,
I mean, they don't. It doesn't look like his glutes are even contracted, but it does look like there's been muscle mass increases as well, and that's helped the additional condition he's bringing through. It's just
yeah,
wild, right? Like who? And to be fair to Chris too, it's that his glutes get a lot of love, but he is peeled front to
yeah,
back.
yeah.
Like,
Like that.
woo!
Oh my goodness, man. That is just the pecs, the delts, the legs, man.
Yeah, so
Abs.
shredded.
Oh my
So
word.
yeah, he got picked up on Beyond the Stage, one of the most shreddy natties ever yet.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because there was a comment here, particularly, was like, people think anything smaller than Samson Doda's, I can't say his last name, size can be natural. Lol, this hardness is impossible to achieve naturally. It's like, bro,
Mm, come on.
incorrect.
Yeah. Oh
It's
dear.
I understand it. Not everyone can do this, but even enhanced, not everyone can do this. He's a specimen.
Indeed. Yeah.
So yeah,
Unbelievable. And
just wanted to share that.
yeah, I'm glad you did because I saw it on the time chamber and I was like, oh, we didn't mention about Chris. So, and similar to the podcast episode that you had with Moscat, blah, blah,
Oscar,
the Oscar, sorry, blanked on his first name.
Oscar Moscat. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Oscar and Ben, it's so interesting just to see, different approaches by different athletes. Like everyone's come to some sort of successful outcome. They've all achieved success, but like, hey, maybe their approaches are all different. And I just find that really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Chris is never going to be a mass monster. I see jokes in threads where it's like he's been dieting for like, I don't know, some stupid number, like 10 weeks. Like, yeah, he wasn't competing 5 weeks ago, and he's just like, I want to see what he looks like in the off season. I imagine he's pretty freaking shredded
Mm,
because I think we've mentioned before he struggles to eat sufficiently, and I imagine he is on a ton of food when he's dieting, which is why I want to interview him, because I
mm,
think it would be just so interesting because he is like a specimen in the sport. Like he is, I am not aware of someone who comes in as conditioned consistently as he does, like top to toe, glutes striated through. Yeah, very impressive.
mm.
But that's probably us this week, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah, and I don't know if it's very soon. There's going to be the WMBF Taiwan, which I'm not sure if it's the same as the Pro Galaxy, but that's going to be like a big event, and I think that's the one Eric Helms is competing in, which might be
Oh,
it's probably yeah, it's definitely not next week. It's probably in 4 weeks or so.
oh
Very
wow.
soon. It's coming up very soon though, and it'll be a big one.
Yeah, they just had the WMBF Dubai show as well this past weekend, which I know Chris Barakat was also competing at. He wasn't super happy with what he brought to stage there, unfortunately. Yeah, actually, another one. I believe I don't know if they're in the same category actually, but they probably were. But the individual he placed below Chris at the UK Pro Show, he also went over there. He lives in Dubai, actually. I've forgotten his name, but he came third in that class. I
Uh,
don't believe Chris placed. So it just goes to show, again, what can happen in a short period of time, or if people make decisions. I think Chris wasn't happy with a decision he made, and it didn't bring a great look for him. It just goes to show, like, don't count yourself out too soon if a show doesn't go your way, but equally, don't let the ego and don't get complacent if you do better. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for doing this with me, Mike. Always great to catch up. And like we said before, if people are interested on stepping on stage, or again, they've got a photo shoot, like I said, got one with Josh Pelland coming up, which I'm very
yeah.
excited for. I'm just excited to share the results of that because he's looking very good, Mike. So it is going to be really cool. And yeah, you can see coaching linked in the description. You can check out what we offer, the services there, and book a consultation. Otherwise, if you're listening this far in, I hope you're subscribed. Do give us a thumbs up. Do give us a rating and review. It's appreciated. And I guess we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, and just remember that you can either ask questions in the hypertrophic time chamber on Instagram on Steve's channel, or just like Killer has done, drop a question for the next episode in the comments on YouTube, and we will pick them up and answer them.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
See you next week.